Alright, so it's raining off and on here and I may have to stop, but I'm going to go over here and crank this Bobcat 610 and show its functions. Then I'll talk about it a little bit. That's where we're at right now. I'll bring you back here in a second. We'll talk about it. Alright, so let's start with this side as a walk around. It has the roll cage. Tires are not bad. I was able to come up with the bucket cylinders. I don't know if anybody's watched the previous video, but when I swapped for this, I swapped a rifle for this machine. It wasn't running. It didn't have the tilt cylinders for the bucket on both of those. It did come with that backhoe attachment, which attaches to the front, which I have yet to even look at. It's just sitting on the trailer. It came with the bucket, but the fella said that these cylinders had been taken by his father to a cylinder repair shop to be rebuilt. And so not all the pins were there, so I've got some rigged pins. I'm going to have to get some new pins and bushings and stuff. But they put new glands on each end on them, and they rebuilt them, and as far as I can tell, they're done right. They were done by the Mennonites or the Amish. I know they're different. The inside, they've got this piece right here. I'm trying not to show you the backs of my cars over there, but this piece right here is backwards. So when you're standing in it, this is over your toes and it makes it hard to work. But I saw a video of somebody else's and it was flipped around. So I think they've got this backwards. So I'm going to flip it around and fix that. It has the quick connect for something like a, I guess, auxiliary, like a grapple, or actually probably that backhoe over there. It's missing one side of the gauges, and I think that one, the hour meter, goes on that side. The hour meter's not hooked up, and it says 3553.6-ish, and you can tell they had bushinged this in with a piece of steel and put that ignition switch on it. He didn't have the other piece, I guess. This center pedal's stuck. I just went through and oiled a lot of this stuff, but it's rained, so I need to do all that. They have a lawnmower seat bolted to the seat plate. The battery's not under there. The battery's under my on top of the thing, and I'll build a battery box for it because I'd rather have it up there. When I got it, this side here, this cylinder leaks profusely, so I'll have to rebuild that cylinder. And I don't know who put, somebody's already been in this or tried to get in it. You can see the witness marks from a pair of channel locks or a pipe wrench. So, but I don't know who thought it was a good idea to put aluminum on these, because they'll just get damaged. I think they replaced these with steel. That looks like steel down there at the end of those. I have adjusted the clutches, and as you can see, they tend to work. I think that these clutches have a neutral spring that sits under the clutch bar that goes this way, and I think that spring's gone because they don't spring back to neutral. I have to bring them back to neutral. Sometimes that's an issue. You'll go to crank it and it'll the stick will be leaning one way. Like right now, you can see they're not in the same place. And this one here, it'll be pulling on this side when I go to start it up because of the weight of it. They had replaced a bunch of hoses, so a lot of these hoses are new. Actually, I think all the hoses are new except for the auxiliary hose that's over there on the machine. Now on the backhoe, all the hoses are old on it. It does have the cage over it. They had a auxiliary tank right here bolted to it with some unistrut and stuff. I took that off. I'll use it for something else. But the reason that they had it up there, I found out, is because that mechanical pump's not pulling enough to get it out of the tank. So I had bought a couple of these for that Simplicity tractor I had worked on. So I put a little 2-pound electric fuel pump and a filter, and you can see the trash it's pulling out. Look at that. Well, let's see if I can get you to where you can see it. Let's see if I can get some shade in here. Look at all that trash down in there. In any case, I flushed this tank with diesel and ATF and pressure washed it, rinsed it out, then flushed it again with diesel, and it's still pulling water out. So I've been just draining it collects in the bottom of the carburetor, so I just cracked that. I don't know if you can see that from here. I cracked that right there at the bottom of the carburetor, the drain, and I drain it when I get started after it's been sitting for a while. And I have this on the ignition. It's actually wired to the coil wire, which was wired wrong. They had this wired so as long as the battery was hooked up, that ignition coil was live. And that was an issue. So I fixed that. So now it's on the ignition. When the ignition is on, the coil is live. And same with the fuel pump. When I turn the ignition on, it'll prime it up. And I'll change this filter. But I got the tank pulling just fine. See, the same with these auxiliary hoses. They need to be replaced. This, I think, this hose is for the auxiliary valve. So that's the auxiliary valve. This auxiliary hose needs to be changed. They had put new plug wires in it. They didn't have any gaskets on the exhaust manifold. No gaskets. They had one gasket on the carburetor, and these Zenith carbs have to be spaced out at least 1/8 for the throttle cable to clear the intake housing. So I took some Cometics, whatever it is, gasket material, and made myself a gasket. I need to take the exhaust manifold off and put some gasket seal on there because the surfaces are uneven, or either grind them or something, I don't know. Right now I just have this marine battery up here. I'm probably going to build myself a battery holder up here behind the thing, but I'll turn it this way, sideways here. Has the original weight. That's not the original motor. So the motor that was in this, I think, was the 20 horse motor. I think this is a 35 horse. I can't find a mark on it anywhere that says what it is. I think it's on the face of the cover there, and it's just nowhere that I can find. And so but they said this came off of a stump grinder, this motor, and it is a Wisconsin motor. It looks like a VF4 something, VF4, VH4. It looks like the bigger one because they had to space this out. You can see right here, they had to space this out so it wouldn't be interacting with the distributor and the coil and everything on the back of this thing to get it right. And they've also changed it out to a regulated alternator, so the regulator's not on it anymore. And they said that this variable drive here had an issue. They had all the parts for it, but it's changed by that hydraulic. I don't know if you can see that little fitting up there, but there should be a hydraulic line coming back here, and if you push that, it squirts hydraulic fluid back into there. So I guess the seals blew on the speed control, and so they set it to 1 speed. So it's just set to 1 speed. They've got a bolt through it. down in here. There's a bolt through it. So, but it moves and runs, and I can probably fix that. The motor runs really good. Minor issues, you know, it took me about a day to figure this out. So I swapped a rifle for this and the backhoe attachment that you can see just through there. And I think if I wanted to, I could scrap it for enough money to get my investment back out. I did have to pay the hydraulic bill that they had. They had those 2 curl cylinders. They had like I said, the guy's father had dropped them off at the hydraulic shop. They rebuilt them, and he died. And so they stayed there. The Amish guy said they had moved shops. It was kind of an interesting thing to track it down, because a friend of mine knew where the old shop was, and he said that guy moved to another mountain closer to town, and then he had sold his equipment and all of his stuff to a guy 3 mountains down in a different direction. And so I went to that shop. Actually, I went to the store down the way from that shop, because they said that store owner there would know where that guy was. And so I went over there, and the Amish lady at that store said, yeah, that's so-and-so, he's up at that shop, and they sent me up the road to that. And so yesterday was an interesting tracking the cylinders down. When I walked through his shop doors, I explained the situation. He pointed 6 feet from me on a table there and said, those are the 2 cylinders right there that are owned by that guy. I said, well, what does he owe? And he said, I just saw that bill the other day. And he went looking, he couldn't find the bill, and he told me how much it was. And fortunately for me, I had enough money in my wallet to pay for it. It just happened to be that way. I was out picking up some tires for the F-250 and went by and got these. But now I've got to sort out, everything else is minor issues. It's leaking oil from the oil filter housing. It had been stopped up. It wasn't actually even getting anything into the oil filter. When I took that oil filter off, it was dry and it looked brand new. They had changed the oil filter, never had oil in it. Well, I run a wire down from this way, and I ran a wire in from this way, and then I took a rubber hose and I put it up against it and blew through it until I got free passage through it. And now it's pumping oil into the oil filter housing. But the oil filter gasket on these, it's a mason jar style oil filter, and around the threads it has a square oil seal, and that oil seal is too big for the groove on this machine, and so it's not sealing well. So I'm not driving it much until that oil filter comes in. O'Reilly's has supposedly ordered me the Wix variant of that oil filter. And, but I did change the oil in it. It has 15W40 Rotella in it, because that's what I had on hand. And it sounds a lot better. What was in it before was really, really thin and probably had some gas in it. It was a little bit rattly with that. But no, it's all minor stuff. It's hydraulic seals and leaky hoses and adjusting clutches and changing fluids out, which will be pricey. But I think I can get my money back if I need to. But I think I'll probably keep this one and use it for a while. So this is a Bobcat 610, and that's the Walkaround on the deal. And I think I did pretty good. Y'all let me know what you think. I'll likely do more videos on adjusting clutches and changing hydraulic hoses and working out details in the valve bodies and stuff on this machine. So if it's something you're interested in, like and subscribe and follow along. And like everything else I've got, my 2006 F-250 or my 86 Toyota or this Sequoia that's over here, you know, I do videos on stuff that I'm doing. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing, just a random guy doing random stuff, four-wheelers and dirt bikes and whatever I've got, then maybe you'll like this channel. Y'all have a good day. Have a good week. Catch you next time.